I'm Yogesh Mudras, Managing Director, Informa Markets in India, extending you all a warm welcome again here today for our next in line of leadership conversations with the thought leaders. It gives me a great pleasure to have Mr. Apurba Chakraborty, who is the CEO and Director of ID Overseas Pvt Ltd, Dickies India, as one of the world's leading occupational health and safety and personal protective equipment company. Thank you so much, Apurba, for being with us here today. As mentioned in my last leadership series interaction, September 2020 was a month of doing this B2B virtual events for various verticals that we did. Our endeavor is to help communities and business overcome the limitations of lockdown, achieve their business goals, and provide a powerful edge as the economy readies itself to get back on track. Coming to Apurba Chakraborty, as I know him very well since last so many years now, is CEO and Director of ID Overseas Limited, erstwhile Dickies India, which also, and he also heads Dickies USA branded food workwear for South Asia, licensed manufacturing and sales. He holds a valuable experience of over 30 years in multi-country apparel sourcing and manufacturing for leading global brands like M&S, Adidas, Gap, amongst many more. So, Apurba, welcome again, and great to have you here. So, my first question for you, Apurba, today is, OSH has been one of the most in-focus industries, as we all know, in this context of the pandemic. While certain categories of products have suffered due to the lockdown, some others have been in very high demand, putting pressure on supply. What has been the strategy of the industry to overcome the challenges?
Thank you, Yogesh, for the introduction. Nice of you to said such things. In these COVID-19 pandemic times, all our lives have changed so much. Our regular focus points, which most companies were attuned towards handling, has also changed. We've shifted from our regular factory wear, regular occupational wear, towards PPE in a big way during these times, because that is the focus point at the moment. The COVID warriors need it, people visiting hospitals need it, everybody has to stay safe. So I think that's the case even for makers of masks, goggles, your gloves, nitrile gloves. All these makers have had to up their capacities, maybe 8-fold, 10-fold, 20-fold, I don't know. So everybody has had to focus on something or the other that is connected with the pandemic.
While the focus of the nation should be on self-reliance and Make in India, how important are international collaborations in your sector, especially the OSH and PPEs? How would you align the principle of Make in India to the requirement of adopting to international standards and trends in your domain?
If we take our case specifically, while we are very well versed with fashion and casual garments as a group, and we have really understood the technology of all sorts of workwear all these years with Dickies, and the whole thing about technology transfer, and from a giant like Dickies, which has been 100 years in this trade, we definitely know that the Indian sector needs a more value efficient sort of a model to work with. They are not so brand conscious as probably one would find the Western countries and Europe and all these nations to be. So here it is as to what you're going to give me for that price that I'm going to pay, and I would like to pay the cheapest, lowest price. So that being the case, we've been inspired by the Prime Minister's call for vocal for local, and we have actually gone with that, and in this rather financially battered market, we've actually introduced our range of IDOS and Protect You workwear. So this will actually cope with the Indian demands, yet not letting go of the traditional workwear technology transfer that we've gained from Dickies over the years, and that will be retained.
Thanks. That was interesting. Definitely, IDOS, your company has a formidable global legacy. How do you customize your products for the domestic sector? What are the product categories that work in your domestic market?
Now, basically, customizing our product for the domestic market, as I said, luckily, workwear is such, while we are looking at price conscious customers in the Indian market scenario, we don't really need huge amount of customization. Uh, Workwear remains the same internationally. I mean, a person would like to wear a work shirt and a work pant or a coverall, and in some cases, yes, we do have client requirements where ladies are involved and they need a salwar kameez instead of a shirt and trouser. Uh, then those exceptions based on the, the client, their needs, we definitely do it for them. So we keep that in mind that we don't say no to certain traditions and requirements. For example, a large hospital chain may want saris for their entire reception and front office staff. So we get it done. We definitely do it as well and supply it. But our core competence, of course, remains in the hardcore workwear. So, be it for oil and gas, be it for automotive companies. So, things like the coveralls and shirts, trousers, hardy denim work pants, with the extra pockets for tools, etc. So that's our core competence, and the certain levels of customization is definitely possible, and we do that.
I'm sure you definitely identify yourself with. In our space, mental wellness is gaining a lot of significance in today's world. You all know that. How do you personally work towards wellness? What are the habits and discipline you have inculcated personally in your lifestyle? And what do you like to promote it amongst your colleagues, your friends from the industry? And definitely, I would love to hear that too.
Okay. Well, on the personal side, I first of all I engage myself in constant rounds of talking with my teams and reminding them of the need to practice discipline. Um, it's so imperative that they do not allow community spread, especially in a labor intensive sort of industry that we have, where people are sitting pretty close to each other, and even though we've got certain sort of screens and protective sort of items in place, we still have to be very, very careful about community spread, and that can happen in a jiffy. So considering all that, we have to have constant reminders, engagement, disciplinary sort of encouragement to be disciplined, and of course all the necessary sanitizers, sanitization elements, tools, and your masks, of course, all these things in place all the time. What I say to the workers in terms of trying to lead a healthy lifestyle, considering that one can't really push them towards a very healthy regime. It's difficult with transportation the way it is. Workers sometimes come from distances, as well as the staff. But just a mild and a regular exercising program combined with a healthy diet, something that is wholesome, healthy, and good consumption of, tepid to hot water, probably some drinks which keeping their bodies warm during these times, and keeping their entire lungs and the breathing part of their body constantly clean as much as possible. So these kind of things is what we discuss and advise, not only myself but our few health sort of department that we have within our organization. And of course we discourage people who are smokers. They have to be discouraged and to stay safe during these times. These are the little things that we talk about and try and spread the good word between all of us as colleagues, so that we care for each other and we try and avoid COVID really harming us too much.
How do you believe trade expos as we as Informa Markets do, and you have participated in our expo OSH for so many years over the years, and you have seen, and we see you coming back again year on year. Definitely, I believe you see some benefit, but it will be great to know what sort of benefits do companies like you get by promoting your businesses at trade expos.
These forums have forums and expos, such events have really and definitely helped in creating awareness within the occupational safety and health industry. I mean, the OSH industry, sort of, so to say, for us as Dickies, especially as the brand Dickies, over these years, they probably, one doesn't get immediate results and you don't get huge numbers of people coming in and buying things from you straight away, but at least it starts creating awareness. People care for certain quality levels, and we definitely have been able to attract agents, dealers in such forums. So all these years we've definitely seen that from a very less known sort of brand within that space, we have come to a fairly well-known brand amongst the safety industry. So this is something that we have achieved, and I think definitely kudos to all of you all connected with Informa for all the hard work that you put in and set these forums up for us to work with you all effectively upon. Having said that, whether we feel that we've got enough business, and especially for a launch, is it the platform to be, especially during these days, it's difficult to say, because that with time we will tell as to how much the virtual shows will really help in actually getting us the right sort of appeasement and awareness between the customers and the actual users of the brand.
During the lockdown, Informa Markets in India has enhanced its digital offerings through virtual expos for the industry to continue its critical business conversations. As an exhibitor, how important these initiatives like Super September, Virtual B2B are important? What can you leverage from it? And just coming from that, I also want to ask you about hybrid shows, because there's a lot of talk of once the physical starts, we also continue doing virtual events alongside it, so that there are two different audiences which can be catered to, who want to come physically and who also attend virtually. So what are your thoughts about doing hybrid events?
Yeah. Recently, we have co-sponsored and participated, of course, and co-sponsored a virtual OSH event with yourselves, and we are happy to have done that. I would say that we are, jumping around gleefully with the results we've seen, and we've had a huge uptake in terms of visitors and people who are keen to buy. In this market, we do believe that it's difficult, for people who don't feel the item to really go ahead and trust what they can see on in a virtual state. But to your question specifically, I would say that September, having a cluster of events, to an extent maybe has kind of been a bit much, if I may say, without sounding too critical, adversely critical of your thoughts on this. But I think it's been too many events together in 1 month. So my personal feelings are that probably each one is not getting the sort of platform that it probably should have got. But having said that, we had a fair degree of attendance and people did show some interest and things like that, and we are hoping that over the next few months we have some traction with whatever we've been able to kind of get out of this particular September event.
I'm sure this Definitely, as a person, as a leader, I really appreciate the way you have led your business, and definitely our audiences would definitely love to hear from you. Some of those leadership parameters, thoughts that you have inculcated and what you follow, which has helped you lead your company in such a excellent manner, and what they could carry from here. Some big takeaways for them. Really, I love to hear that.
Well, here, without having consciously copied successful leaders, what I try to follow uh, are simple principles, on an everyday basis. First of all, understanding the expectations. That's something that we talk to uh, you know the workforce as and when they are hired itself, that these are the expectations of them, this is what they'll have to deliver upon. So while they do get a JD sort of thing, but it's only on paper and probably they don't even read it completely, but we let them know that these are your deliverables, this is what you have to attain, and we give them a fairly free hand. I would say not fair, but I would say a completely free hand in achieving their goals and objectives. So we do not believe in constantly hand holding and constantly guiding them and pushing them in a certain direction, this way or that. So they get a free environment to achieve what they need to achieve. And we do believe that they need time for other than work. I mean, for their families, friends, and things like that, and meeting with co-workers, all those kind of things. So we try and create a bit of how much ever we can of a healthy atmosphere within the organization and otherwise, so that they are comfortable. And we encourage them also by rewarding uh, good work, things that they have gone out of their way to achieve. One staff member or a workforce member having helped another one during a difficult period or ill health or whatever. These kind of things are very much noticed and are applauded with rewards wherever necessary. So these kind of things are done to keep people motivated. Personally, to me, in terms of what you just said, that in terms of qualities that I look at, that I imbibe and try and get done and use in my everyday work life are simple things like the less is more concept. Yeah. So today it's all the more essential, but this is something that has been all the way back in the early 2000s, when I was in a large corporation called Gap from the USA. They were very clear about this, to try and manage with a small team but a competent team, try and manage with less material and utilize that material to the end to make maximum product. So this less is more concept can actually work in probably all spheres if we really apply it well and we follow it well. So less is more, and combined with the Japanese concept of right first time. So even if the worker on the machine basically is finding a particular operation a little difficult because she's handling that style for the first time, I would encourage my team to give her that little extra time to practice it on, maybe on mocks, on small pieces of fabric, get it right first, and then take it on and make the garment right when she's actually making the final garment, rather than quietly trying to achieve speed and achieve the numbers that her target for the day, and just making it and then spoiling that particular operation where the entire garment gets rejected in the end. So we would this is something that we really try and encourage, that we have a right first time attitude across all the work that we do, irrespective of the operations that we handle and whatever we do across the organization.
Thank you, Apurba. I think it was great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure I can understand it's been Really busy time for you as a company, and you're doing an excellent job, especially in such times of pandemic. I wish you all the best, and definitely look forward to continuing to interact with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Yogesh. All the best to you and to Informa, all your colleagues who deal with us. Thank you again and all the best. Bye.